What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about if Resident Evil 8 is exclusively coming out on next gen. Now, really quickly, before I actually get into the video, I just want to be transparent and open with you guys. I know this isn't the Resident Evil 8 trailer. I really love the Resident Evil 8 trailer. I think it's actually an amazing trailer, and I want to show it to you guys, but it's copywritten, so I cannot show it on the screen. Otherwise, the video gets demonetized. So you'll have to watch some other video clip that I put on here. So I'm sorry about that. But when it comes to this game, I mean, I really am excited about it. Okay, this is a game that, and you guys have heard kind of my history on Resident Evil in the past. This game looks really, really good. It looks very, and like I said, it looks very different. I actually talked about that on my second channel. The game looks Resident Evil-ish while also kind of not being it. And maybe that's because, again, from what we've heard from the reports and leaks, that it was originally supposed to be Resident Evil Revelations 3, and then they kind of injected the story of Resident Evil 8. Now, whether or not that, if that comes out to be true, that is what they, have did, that would maybe explain some of it, because the game does look a little bit different, but at the same time, it looks really, really good. It looks like it's taking some pages out of, like, the Outlast book. It also looks like it's going to be, again, very, very different, have Chris in it, again, looking different than he has in the past, but, you've seen probably that meme online. It looks really good. The thing is that this game is very much, and we obviously saw it at the PS5 reveal event, and this game was pushed for PS5, and if you go on their website, now we know it's a 2021 game, we also know that Capcom has said that they want a new Resident Evil game like every single year. So obviously we had Resident Evil 2's remake, we had Resident Evil 3's remake this year, next year is Resident Evil 8 Village, obviously, and then the year after, 2022, is Resident Evil 4's remake. So literally Resident Evil every single year, 4 years, 4 Resident Evils. But when you go on their site, it actually says, so at the bottom of their site, it says obviously the next update is coming August of 2020, Resident Evil Village, PS5, Xbox Series X, Steam. No current gen consoles. Now, I honestly, on this channel, on Podcast Now, I can tell you there's a lot of people that are staying with the current gen. There is a lot of people I think are obviously going to get the next gen either day one, month one, within the first couple of years. But there's also a lot of people that have just told me in the comments of a lot of different videos that they just can't or they won't, for whatever reason. And they all have their own reasons. They're not getting the next gen console. And so I have seen this before. I have seen people say, actually, for a lot of games, I've covered Batman, I've covered Harry Potter, and a question, honestly, I get so often is, do you think the game is going to be on this console versus that console, and whether it be a console exclusive or whether it be only next gen? Resident Evil 8, honestly, is a game that I would have assumed would have been on current gen too. I really did think that. But again, so on their site, it literally only says PS5, Xbox Series X, so next gen. And also in the post that they put out when it was announced on the PS5, they talked heavily about how they're really, I guess kind of like the age-old, like the talking points kind of thing, but of using the PS5 hardware and like how they're going to use it to really like get the most out of this game, right? Take it to new heights that has never been before. That kind of like PR talk, right? The talk that honestly a lot of developers do that. But so we heard that, but then again, you go on their website, it's only on next gen. So that's very interesting. That's very, very different. I did not expect that. I would honestly say, based off of the clues that we've gotten so far, I think this is a next gen exclusive, which, again, to be transparent, to be honest, I'm all for it. I've said in the past that when it comes to next gen, I get it. I actually get both sides, and I think that's what makes me honestly a little bit different than a lot of YouTube channels you may see, is I do honestly get both sides. I personally want games that are exclusive to next gen. Otherwise, there's no reason to get next gen, in my opinion. The biggest reason for me to get next gen consoles or any console is because of the games you can only get on that console. The power, how well it runs, how good the games are going to look. I mean, I think there's things that are honestly a little bit more important than that. I think some games can definitely still get a lot out of the current systems. You know what I mean? But so at the same time, like, I want that, but I get the desire and people saying like, hey, I would really prefer this to also be on current gen. This seems to just be one of those games where they've decided like, hey, we're just going to go all for it. We're going to go entirely for next gen, and we're going to use that power of it to do this. So that is very different. That is honestly, again, not something I expected. We've heard, there's been a lot of different talk over the last little while. Microsoft, and we've said this before, Microsoft has made it very clear and has said that for the first year or two of the Xbox Series X that the exclusive games, the games only on Xbox, are gonna be on both. That you're not gonna need to get the Series X if you don't want to, right? They've repeatedly said like the success of our company or the success on Xbox in general doesn't rest on you buying the Series X. Like you don't have to buy it, which is a little puzzling, but I guess I get what they're saying and why they're saying it. It just doesn't always sound the greatest when they say that. But again, we know that first-party games, so like Halo Infinite, any game that's an Xbox exclusive is going to be able to run on both Xbox One, Xbox Series X. But that's only that console, or that's only, I guess, Microsoft, right? That publisher saying that. Sony has kind of said the reverse and said, hey, the games, at least some games that are PS5 exclusives, are only on PS5. They're not going to be on current gen as well as them. However, we'll have to see which ones they pick. It seems like it's possible Spider-Man is one, that the Miles Morales one, that may be on both, but then Spider-Man 2 would just be on PS5. Maybe Horizon would only be on PS5, right? So there's some different things floating out around there. But when it comes to third party, it's entirely up to the developer. If they recently started, if they've started working on the game the past couple of years, it's very likely that they've started working from the ground up on their game on next-gen consoles. So, again, maybe a little disappointing to those that have current gen that it may suck. Again, my honest opinion on this, and again, we're going to get a new update in August, like they said. I wonder what that will be, honestly. Like, will it be gameplay? Is it too early to do gameplay? Because if this game comes out, it's hard, honestly, because Resident Evil 2's remake came out in January of a year ago, and then Resident Evil 3, it was a little bit later than that, right? So obviously it's not necessarily the same month every single year. Even I think Resident Evil 8 was also January, wasn't it? So these games do kind of have a habit of coming out early in the year. Does that mean because, in August, January is not that far away, do we get gameplay that early? Or, I have seen people say this to me, is it maybe when they say like the next update in August, is it telling us that it'll also be on current gen? One thing I will say to kind of maybe kind of calm people down or like ease things is, again, like from what we've heard and what we've seen on it so far, it does seem like it's only next gen, but maybe it's especially because I'm trying to be, on Twitter more. I'm trying to be like online a little bit more. I've seen, especially over the last couple weeks, like when these games get announced, a lot of misinformation that can get thrown out literally immediately. When GTA 5 was at the PS5 reveal event, IGN's first article talking about it said that GTA 5 is free for those that get a PS5. That's not true. GTA Online is free for PS5 owners, not GTA 5. You still have to get GTA 5. But I saw actually a couple, it wasn't just IGN, but IGN was the first one that did it. There were a couple sites that said, yeah, this comes with the launch of the PS5 and that you'll get it for free. That's not true. Another example was the Spider-Man game. When the Spider-Man game, Spider-Man Miles Morales, that's the name. When that game got announced, the very first articles, which were written like literally immediately after it happened, which I get it, but at the same time, you could maybe wait just a few more minutes to make sure you got your facts right. A lot of people were calling it Spider-Man 2, and then after that, they were calling it DLC, and I actually had said that from what I was looking at, like from what I, thought, just like in my opinion, I thought this was like a Spider-Man 1.5, like this was a glorified DLC, and now what are we hearing about it? It's more like Uncharted Lost Legacy, where it is a DLC, but it's really its own game. It's its own game. It'll probably lead into Spider-Man 2, all those things. That's what it was. But all the gaming journalists out there were literally calling it for the first couple hours that it was announced, and really the first day. Insomniac had, remember, they clarified online what the game actually was, which was kind of funny that they had to do that, but it was because people were saying that it was a sequel, that it was actually Spider-Man 2, when that wasn't the case. And again, so that was an example. There was a GTA 5 example. So, again, to kind of ease people, just because nobody's saying it yet, or because people are only saying it's for next gen, doesn't mean it's only going to be on next gen. It's possible, honestly, again, from what we've seen, even from Capcom. So Capcom, the official website for Resident Evil Village, all these things, it does seem like it's only going to be on next gen, but I wouldn't completely rule out current gen. I really wouldn't. I think that that's still definitely possible. But, again, I from a personal point of view, I don't mind it. I'm going to get it day one. I'll get it for the PS5. I have no problem with that, but I do understand. But at the same time, and I'm not like singling anybody out, but people also have to understand that as we get going into this next gen, it's gonna go to next gen. I mean, I know that sounds kind of stupid, or that sounds silly, but when we get into 2021, the next gen's out. PS5 is out. Xbox Series X is out. That's the focus. You don't really, if you're Sony, if you're Microsoft, you don't focus on the last generation because you've made your money from them. Sony has already sold like 110 million PS4s. Like maybe, yeah, it'll get to 120, it'll get to 100, however, maybe many more it'll get. I'm sure it could be helped by increasing, obviously the price drops will obviously start to increase when you bring in the PS5. So it'll continue to sell, and I mean, it's sold over 100 million units, but that was money that they've already made. Now they've put a lot of money into this. They need to make money on the PS5. Xbox needs to make money, although they don't say it. In fact, they say the opposite. Trust me, they need to make money on the Series X. These games need to make money, and eventually people are going to move away from current consoles and they're going to go to next gen, and you have to be able to support that. And I get it. I know a lot of people are smart. I'm not saying like literally you have to be left behind, or I'm not like implying that that's a certain way of thought. Okay, I'm not doing that, but I do think some people need to understand that as time goes on, people are going to move on, and eventually, like, you can say you're not going to get next gen all you want, but 1 year, 2 years, like eventually it's going to come to the point where they drop current gen, the PS4, Xbox One, and everybody's either forced to get next gen, or, I mean, you're not forced. You can either get it and experience the new games, or you will be left behind. And I know that sounds harsh, but honestly, that's how literally anything is. If you have a phone from 10 years ago, you have been left behind. If you still have the PS3 and Xbox 360 that you're playing, you've been left behind. There's no support for that still going on anymore. You know what I mean? So I get it. At the same time, I think that it makes sense, and I would understand why Resident. That's basically what I want to kind of drive home. I understand if Resident Evil 8 is next gen only. I get it. I know that people would be upset. I would be actually surprised because I didn't think that would happen, but I absolutely understand why they would do it. So, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think this game is only a next-gen game? Do you think that maybe the August announcement is them saying that it's on current gen? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed and have that bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. And as we get closer, as we get more information on Resident Evil 8, I'll absolutely cover it. I'd love to actually show the game off, right, when maybe copyright strikes get fixed and all that kind of stuff, but definitely want to play this game, definitely want to talk about this game, so I'll definitely be doing that. There'll definitely be a lot of Resident Evil 8 stuff on this channel, okay? Thank you again so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all on the next video.